Hello YouTube, Dr. Sola coming to you from Lagos, Nigeria. So this video today is a follow-up to my video from yesterday about the SolaX driving me insane. I remember watching something that says, it was a comedian. He was saying, you don't just go insane, you have to be driven there. So something drove me there. Nice one. I made a joke, hopefully you got it and you laughed. Before I get into the video, if you've not subscribed, please click the subscribe button. We need to get to 3,000 and we're about 20 shy of 3,000. So the next 20 will get us past 3,000 subscribers. And for me, that's a huge milestone. I've been doing this since 2015, so it's taking me that long to get to 3,000. So back to SolaX. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he said, when you run your AC and you put the fan on, or you put a fan in the room, you can realize up to a 20% reduction in your energy costs. So let me say that again. I have my AC on, I have a split unit, it's a 1 horsepower split unit that runs all the time. And he said that when I add my fan, and the fan is running while the AC is running, I can get a reduction of up to 20% in my cooling costs. So that had me thinking, is that the reason why I'm seeing 70% at 2 a.m. or I'm seeing the high 60s at 5 a.m. And if we did the math, when compared to what I did with the day, 20% would be about 40% capacity. So what is accounting for that 20%? So let me give you some stats. So maybe it will help. So some stats go like this. One, I have a 5 kilowatt inverter. I have 10 390 watt panels on the roof, and I have 9 400 watt panels on the roof. They come into the 2 different strings on the inverter. I think that gives me about 7,400 watts in panels. I have 2 by 5.8 kilowatt hour batteries. So 2 times 5.8, 2 times 8, 16, 2 times 5, 10, so it's 11.6 kilowatt hours in batteries. My old battery was 10 kilowatt hours. I have this cut off at 13%, not at 15%. So if we take a look, sometimes if I run the AC really for a very long period of time with the day, I could wake up with my batteries at about 14, 15, 16%, and then I have to turn things off. Now, I've not found the bottom, or I've not really found how much energy I could push through the SolaX to find when I can drain the battery. So let me go back. If you recall, I installed this in December, or was it November? In December. And when we did the installation, we're having some issues. No, we did it we're having some issues. We installed it December 13th or December 14th, I don't remember anymore. And we're having some issues. The issues were all related to firmware. None of them were related to the equipment itself. The equipment is pretty solid, performs admirably, but it seems as if SolaX did not design their firmware for a world that's 100% off-grid. So that's a starter. On Christmas Day, at about 2 a.m., the power went out and didn't come back on again till about 1 p.m. So that's the longest I could remember not having power while in Nigeria. I might go 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, but I have never gone more than 6 hours without power. And that day, we went about 11 hours, maybe 12 hours without power. The issue back then was that the firmware that they had did not recognize a battery percentage that was below 10%. So it was at 8%. So the self-discharge thing, the battery cut off at 10%, and then because the inverter does have some energy that it uses, it discharged all the way down to 8%. So that in itself was an aberration, and the system did not recognize it and would not wake up. The new firmware woke it up and it worked fine. First day we were good because we never got 100% charge. Second day we were good. The third or fourth day the lights started to blink. It would come on, then go off. come on, then go off. And they have a relay, so you can hear that click, snap, and then the lights will go off and then it'll come on. So I reached out to SolaX and told them, well, the firmware corrected the problem, but guess what's happening now? We get to 100% and the lights go out. Something I also found out that even though we got to 100%, we weren't getting the capacity we get now. Now I recall that we've had many conversations about lithium batteries. The BMS needs to see 100% in order for it to give you what the full capacity is. And that was true for Dynas. I'm realizing that doesn't seem to apply to SolaX. They tell me they equalize and they balance. And this equalization and balancing, I also noticed on the Dynas stats once the battery gets about 95%. But now, with the new firmware they've released, the battery only gets to 98%. And it stops charging and it goes into float. If it discharges 1 or 2%, it charges back again to 98%. So I recall Moffat bringing it to my attention. Moffat, I'm mentioning you. Thank you for being an avid follower and constantly commenting that since the battery wasn't getting to 100%, our state of charge might be fictitious. And the first night that happened, I was afraid that that might be it. And then when the battery only discharged to like 60% or 70% with me running the same loads, I'm like, okay. So the next day I left the freezer on and the fridge on because I put it off the first night, thinking that because it didn't get to 100%, we'll have an issue. Let the fridge freezer on. Now I added the fan, the AC, and it ran. And guess what? It did not go off. The capacity still, what was left in the battery was still pretty high. It was like 60%. So now the next night we decided, you know what? We're afraid to cook after 6 p.m. Or we're afraid to use the air fryer after 6 p.m. We use the air fryer, we use the microwave. No difference. So when we went to bed, maybe we're in the 88th percentile range, 88% state of charge. But guess what? We still had the same capacity left in the morning. So we're like, wow, these batteries are doing exactly what we expected them to do. So now let me give you some voltages. It is a little over 100 volts, about 115 volts. So it's a high voltage battery. It can charge and discharge 30 amps. So when you multiply 30 by the voltage of the battery, that's the number you're getting. So 3,300 for one battery, 6,600 for two. At full voltage, which is 240, you multiply by 30, that number is even higher. So 3 times 4, 12, 3 times 2, 6. So 7,200 is what theoretically I could discharge out of these batteries. But my inverter is limited to, I think, 5,500. And I think 6,000 for 30 minutes, or for 1 hour, sorry. So I can overclock, I can do more than the rated capacity for 1 hour on this on the SolaX inverter, which is something else I found out. So I'm stumped, and at the same time I'm very pleased. I'm getting a whole lot more from the batteries than I expected. The system is performing better than I expected. That's it. I've loaded it. I've pulled up to 4,000 watts. It didn't blink. Up to 4,000 watts. It didn't blink. I don't know how I feel about trying to push it to 5,000 watts. Now, many of you say that there is a better inverter. As a standalone device, it is. But when you want something that's married to that's married to a battery, the thing like the mid box, I think SolaX has a beat. Now, if you compare features to features, yes, it has many of the features that the Air has, but it lacks also many that the Air has, like the dual input. It doesn't have that. The auto generator start function is not available yet. What else? The ability to do a micro inverter or wind, that's not available. But if you and I sit down and we ask ourselves questions, how many of us actually use those functions? I don't. For all the customers installed, the autogen function, we've only had 3 customers use it. The smart load, we really don't use it. Yes, there are people that do, but 90% of people don't use it. So it's a nice, and yes, SolaX has it available with an external device that lets you do smart load. But honestly, we've not used it and we've not found a use for it. So yes, the day is very feature rich. And if you want to marry to different devices, it's a better product. So if you want to use a Pylon Tech, a Dynas, your own batteries, yes, it works better. However, if you want a system that's fully integrated where you can get the maximum out of that system, the SolaX is superior. So the BMS is customized for the inverter. The inverter is customized for the battery, and they work quite fine. If you are doing lead acid, yes, then it allows you to do lead acid. But seriously, based on my experiences so far, this has been, I think, the best inverter that I have used. Pretty rich coming from someone who has installed over 10 inverters at his facility. Wow. Yep, it's the best. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, it's not the prettiest, but you know what, for what I use it for, it's more than enough. So if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up. If you are yet to subscribe, please click the subscribe button. Once again, this is Dr. Sola coming to you from Lagos, Nigeria.